All right, it's your boy Nova Z the ENT coming back to you with another video. Thank you for joining me again. I just want to point out the drip. My wife got me this. It's the Indianapolis Clowns jersey, Negro League stuff. Go ahead and tap in. Um, Today, and you're gonna ask, hey, why is Aisha Clan of the Qatar Empire on your screen, Nova? That's because I want you to know what I get down with, right? It's a dark skinned elf lifting weights, space elf lifting weights is what I'm into. It's what I like to get down with, right? And the reason why this is important, right, is because today's video, I've been listening to a lot of. If you've been on the internet any, you've been privy to the anti woke and the woke, anti woke discourse about gaming and the male gaze and things of that nature. And I've come to kind of throw my hat in the ring, right? I think it's absolutely okay. Now, if you looked at any of my previous content, you know where I'm going with this. It is completely okay to make content completely targeted to an audience, and it is okay to not want that targeted content to be in your thing if it's already existed, right? I'm gonna give you a good synopsis right now. So if you wanted too long, didn't read, don't want to watch the whole video, I like to watch content with black people in it, not like wholly, only, solely, right? As in, like, if the default in my country is white people, like they enjoy their media. When you cosplay as Japanese people in anime, white people don't get called the white version of that. Black people get called the black. You know how many times I've been called niggo or, or niggaless, things of that nature. I feel like it's long enough of a video that I can say stuff like that, right? Um, but if you see a white person who's cosplaying as Japanese characters, nobody bats an eye, right? It's just when darker characters, darker people cosplay those characters. And I am wholly of the concept that we need enough characters so that young black and brown children have their own things that they want to cosplay as. And if white people want to cosplay as them, cool, because younger people don't see race. It's not until we get older and the construct of where you want to be in society becomes important, right? So we need enough of those things that it makes so it doesn't even matter, right? If there were 400 characters that can be seen as dark skinned or black, there are 400 characters that can be seen as light skinned or white, then this wouldn't matter as much, right? It's the lack of representation. And I hate that term because there's people who are too far on both sides who use that, who weaponize that term, right? So I just wanted to start this off throwing out some shine to Aisha Clan of the Qatar Empire. So let me see if I can hide this so I can go ahead and bring this absolute buffoons content up on my stuff, right? So the real reason we're here, and again, this isn't the only thing. This is just going to help me exercise what I'm trying to say about this, right? Because it's just as bad on both sides to me. And I'm not trying to do the good people on both sides who bullshit, right? I'm trying to do that. You can go both ways with this critique, and it's good for you to be able to target both people when you hear from them, right? And I'm gonna give you what I mean, right? If I like when I'm playing something that I want to goon to, right? Like if I'm watching anime where girls have big titties, big asses, and the guys are buff for no reason, like stupid, roided up, muscled up, and and they get all the women. That's what I want to watch. That's what I want to read, right? If somebody came to me and told me you shouldn't sexualize women so much in the media you enjoy, I'd say go watch your own media. Like you remember back in that, so Overwatch, May's supposed to be thick. Like I know under that, I know under all that stuff she's got on, she's thick. We all know it. And with that time where they made her thin, and everybody was an uproar. That's the right answer. We know May is thick. We want to see her as thick. You make a new skinny character. You make a new skinny Chinese ice character if that's what you want to do. You leave our girl alone, right? But the same can be said in reverse. If you don't want to see any sexualization, or if you want to see sexualization related to what you enjoy, fund that, right? The best thing I can give you is a game called Tales of Kenzera Zao. Now, obviously, anytime you hear I can't, Sweet Baby Inc. When they get involved with anything, it's for the wrong reason. They may have good intentions, but it's backed by the wrong people. It's like the worst person you know agrees with you on something, and now you've got a conflict of whether you support this ideal or you understand that the worst person you know is about to represent you poorly, right? The game is a castle, it's a Metroidvania side scroller about with African folklore intertwined, right? It was a great game. I played the hell out of it. I bought it. I played it on Game Pass, beat it. Then I bought it just to make sure to contribute my money to the cause, right? And the company shut down. Not enough people. And I obviously could be blamed, but not every game is successful, right? But Sweet Baby Inc. attached their ideology to it, and just that name alone can get people not to invest in it, right, or not to enjoy it because they know it's like when you're talking to, like, my whole thing on coons, my whole series on why coons are why coons and just normal everyday black people can't get along is because they're usually saying the same thing, but they're saying it in a way that's adversarial to each other, right? And when Baby Inc. says like, hey, you need to have, I'm gonna give you the exact wording that I feel when I see anything that they're involved in. You need to have representation. You have to have diversity. When you say things like that, it makes people who may have been interested in your art cautious or standoffish because don't tell me what I need. This is America. Bald eagles land on my roof to eat the apple pies that I bake. I do what I want, right? No, but as an American, that's the way I feel about most things. I want to have the option to enjoy your content. I don't want to be told what I have and who I am if I don't enjoy what you're making because you're not taking accountability for if your thing is bad. Like you're giving yourself an out on if you make terrible anything, right? If you're saying, "Oh, you don't like this because I am who I am." No, you make a bad product. Make a good product, I'll support it. If you know me, most of the clothing I own, I shop black first, and then if a black person doesn't make it, then I'll reach out. But I also won't give my money to any black organization if they're not making a quality product. The quality has to come first, then the support comes second because I want to see people like me do better, right? So the reason why this Andy Pan's gaming thing is so important is because if you go through any of his stuff, I'm gonna link it in there. I hope he succeeds because it'll give more content, right? Obviously, but you don't want to see anybody falter or do poorly to a point, right? Is that all of his content is based on everything is woke, which is a stupid thing to say in the first place, right? Something you don't like doesn't mean it's woke. Like if you want to see big burly men in video games, that is your right. I actually agree with him on like if they start putting too many white people or black people or women into something, I feel cautious. I feel like they're not putting their best foot forward. But if you watch his page, if you look at the progression of his page, anything with black people, anything with women is woke to him and lesser than. And that's where he can lose people right now. Look at his subscriber count. He's got 260,000 subscribers. That's 259,000 more, and 259,000 more than I have, right? So obviously he's doing something correct, and I hope to be able to pander at his level because remember, I'm a shield. I will sell out in a second if it gets me enough to pay my kids colleges and pay my house off. I will do it in a second. But obviously he's doing something right. There's a crowd for what he feels. And I can't help but to think that if people actually listened to what he said and actually challenged him on it in a way that doesn't make him feel attacked, he may be able to provide you some insight. But he's also so lost in the sauce that I don't think he'll ever get there, right? It's two sides of the coin. So I'm going to start the video. I'm not going to react to the whole thing. I'm just using this as a backdrop to tell you what I mean, right? Let's go ahead and get into it.
AAA gaming in 2025 is nothing more than a humiliation ritual for men, and the Game Awards is showing this perfectly. It didn't used to be this way, boys. We used to play as badass lizards with guns and hot women on every arm. But we let women, Redditors, and Democrats invade our hobby, and this is what we get. Metroid Prime 4 came out. It features a cucked Redditor male protagonist getting saved by a girl boss.
Samus?
Okay, so now we got to stop right here, right? Before I play the voice, because they did that voice on purpose. I understand where he's coming from. But any man getting saved by a woman, in his opinion, like Samus has been a staple of gaming for 20, 30 years. I mean, since I was a young kid, so 30 years, right? We know she's a badass. We know she crams her giant body into that tiny ball and goes out and does work, right? But because it's a woman and they overplay the helplessness of that man, then it's woke, right? But if in reverse, if a strong man saved a helpless woman, I guarantee you he would have been like, "Oh, that's fine. Women are helpless, right?" But so let's continue.
Samus Aran?
Hey! Hey, Samus Aran! I'm stuck! Help me out! Oh!
get me down?
By the way, I thought it was Samus Aran. So yeah, color me surprised.
Outer Worlds 2 features exclusively weak men getting cucked and dominated by women. Gee, I wonder who made this game. Ghost of Yotei, yet another dog ugly girl boss.
Okay. Now, the last thing notwithstanding, because I don't know enough about the production team to know if those were the only people involved. Like I said, there's only 10 people involved in developing a multi-million dollar AAA game, whatever. But look at what he's presenting right here, right? Is this true about Ghost Yote? Designed with gamers in mind, it's Gooner bait. I'm into it, you know that, right? But it's designed with activists in mind. It's just a regular woman. You're dressed in regular clothes, doing her regular job, right? In his brain, in the brain of people who are of his ilk, not sexualizing women at every turn is considered woke. Just having a character who looks like a normal human being, which they see every day, is considered woke. You see how like your ideology can go so far in one or the other direction that now it seems unrealistic to even the like if you interact with this with no context, it would make you obviously either not agree with him completely or agree with him. There's no middle ground because both of these things are so extreme. You can't possibly play in the middle of that.
Written by a bunch of weak men at Sucker Punch. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or Kingdom Come in a Dude 2. They took based medieval Christian Henry and made him a sodomite. Assassin's Creed Shadows, they made the main guy a sodomite. Black Ops 7, you get to be cucked by a black disabled girl boss. Oh, did y'all see Activision just released an apology for making the game?
Now, the apology for this game wasn't because it had a black woman in it. It's because the game was ass in general. But he needs you to have the apology to justify his point, right? The prior two things that he said, only two games that have come out last year, this year. Two games came out this year that had these things in it, not main points. If you play both of those games, I guarantee you didn't play all of those games. But they're not main points of these games. They're things that are a part of that, right? Like yes, somebody may be gay. If you choose, you have to choose to make the person gay, right? So if you choose that, it's a main part for that person who chose it. Or if you didn't, then it doesn't matter. But because it is in the game, it hurts his sensibilities. So it's woke because you have the option to do it. Freedom of choice is something that this person just does not like.
Issue all the apologies you want. Your complete annihilation is the only thing we will accept. Shut your studio down. But boys, who better to tie a bow on things at the end of the year and pretend the gaming industry is doing just fine than the clown prince of cucks, Jeff Keighley? You can see the deadness and cold terror in his eyes this year because something he hates happened. An indie game won all the awards.
Remember this quote: something he hates happens, and it's something that he doesn't enjoy. As if his entire channel isn't made up of. Now, again, if he wants to come, I hope to God to get into beef with this guy because, like I said, I'm a shill. I'll do anything to get that bread. But I am going to remain consistent on what I think, right? So he's saying thing that Jeff Keighley doesn't like happens, and it creates a whole turmoil. When realistically, if you look at that, like Keighley was like, a small indie game running the entire every gauntlet, everything, it does kind of take away. It's like if the SEC back in football or in football terms back in the day, they won 400 hypothetical games. There was no need to have a season because every SEC team from Kentucky all the way up to Alabama could be any team, other whatever. So there's no point. Like back when the BCS existed, and you had two teams that got picked by a computer. I did this test in NCAA. All my NCAA fans shout, rise up. I made every Sun Belt team ranked. At the end of the season, a 6-5 Sun Belt team was still in the top 10 because if you rank every team in a conference mathematically, they'll be ranked at the end of the team. It does, of course, you would need to play the games because mathematically, you've made it so that it's impossible for these teams to fail. They became Ford and GM, they became banks, they became too big to fail off social opinion. So I could see if you're saying like, hey, I don't like that this small company is taking every award because it does take away from people who are putting vast amounts of money into certain things. But his critique should be that's great. EA, let's say, the budget on Expedition 33 was like 30 million, something like that, right? If EA spends 100 million on Madden, which is useless because Madden is ass every year, right? They could take they can make three pet projects with people who are passionate in their company, and they may get two games that are great or one game that's great because they already know Madden's going to hit. You could just make a release pack for Madden every year for $20, and you'd get a billion, people buying it. Make something people are passionate about. Now that would be a good critique. Good critique. His critique is ass because he's an ass person.
Words. Oh my, we can't have that happening. The ideal fiscal year for Jeff is this: diverse LGBTQ slop game gets celebrated by all the media, wins all the awards, then a symphony performs music from said slop game. These are the kind of years that keep Sony and Xbox happy and writing checks to dear old Jeff for his vacation house. But what the 2025 Game Awards shows is Jeff has lost control of the narrative. Games he was shilling for last year and paid millions to promote, like Ghost of Yotei, got their shit pushed in and were completely rejected by gamers. Guys, what is happening in the game industry right now is unprecedented. It's coming apart at the seams. And the essential problem is this: woke AAA games are being rejected by gamers, while indie games without politics are becoming huge hits. But this isn't so.
Indie games without politics. So Expedition 33, which is like the helplessness of war, right? Or the, I'm not even going to go into what my opinion on these games are. Right? Think about what he just said. He said that Jeff Keighley somehow is mad that things he was paid millions of dollars to promote. If that's true, right? Let's say I got a bag to promote something and it didn't win, and you still watched my show and gave me $1 million to watch other things that I didn't have to do any work for win. How in the world would you think I'd be mad at that? I'm still gonna get my bag from these people, and I'm getting a bag for you to be. You get what I'm saying?
Supposed to happen. You're supposed to play the slop. You're supposed to play AAA gay propaganda game, not Expedition 33 or Arc Raiders or Ready or Not. So in this video, I want to look at all of the ridiculous.
And again, I know he didn't play Expedition 33, right? Because Expedition 33 is one of the best examples of how to be forward facing with your emotions, right? Because they lived for so little and they knew that their time was finite. Great game, right? But they knew their time was finite. They were very open with the way they felt. Men, women, with the way they felt. Men, women, any of that. Like they said, like if they had a thought, they expressed it because they knew, like, hey, one of the characters, she said, like, I didn't have any kids because I knew mathematically they'd only be able to live for 10 years before life got hard for them. Why would I do that? These things are things that you should confront. Even at, oh boy, like Andy Pants Gaming cannot take himself seriously because just a couple seconds of thought let them know that it's not just because of these. If they had a $400 million budget, right, they might not have done any better because the premise is already set and they had to work around. Like, and I get what he's saying. Like, oh, people don't have to spend a lot of money to make things that are passionate for people. That should be his point, right? Because yes, nobody wants to see slop in any respect. Not just woke slop. Just having a black man or a black woman in your game isn't woke slop. It can still be bad, right? Like he only sees anything with white people in it as legitimate, right? If it has or white men, even though Expedition 33 has their best characters, incredibly complicated and nuanced, right? But he can't even see that because he's so busy shilling for his side. People think of sheep as only like, oh, you follow what someone says. If I tell you to go left and you go right every single time, you're still a sheep. Yours is a sheep who's doing the opposite of what the shepherd tells the herd. I know I can get you where I need to be by telling you to do the exact opposite of what I'm telling everybody else to do.
Nonsense that happened at the Game Awards, all the terrible trailers that were shown, and at the end, I'll talk about a few of the actually cool things that we might have to look forward to. So, I'm sure you guys know by now how much I complain about gay, woke propaganda garbage in all of our media and video games these days. But, guys, what am I doing about it? I am often asked that question, Andy. What the heck are you doing to help it? And guys, I wanted to tell you all really quickly about a film that you can help support that is starting to fight the woke garbage in Hollywood. It is made by based Christian people, and it looks like an awesome movie. And it is, my buddy is making this film, and it's called A Murder in Willow Creek. You can go to willowcreekmovie.com and you can actually donate now to fund this film getting made. They only need a little bit more money to make it. You can donate now to become a part of this movie, and you will get.
I'm gonna write this down because I'm actually interested to see what this turns out to be. I wonder if I can make. Now it's gonna sound very petty because it is, right? What if I can make whatever he's about to say feel very woke in a way that he won't enjoy hearing? I hope it's good because you want to see any small creator do what they need to do, right? Whether you agree with their philosophy or not, but let's just keep that where we need to be.
Credited in the film credits if you do that. Like I said, this movie is being made by based Christian people. It's creating culture. We're not just complaining about culture being bad. We're trying to create amazing culture. All right. And I'm going to get back to the video here. So, guys, I just want to remind you here the clips I'm about to show are from a TV show that won for Best Adaptation. If you take the Game Awards legitimately or seriously at all, this should show you that it's a complete joke. The Game Awards is a complete joke because this trash won.
First of all, okay means stop.
Sorry, I was in the moment.
Second, you can't motherfucker people who land a first hit on.
Well, I can obviously take a punch, so who cares? Fucking hard, by the way.
I pulled it.
You pulled it?
Yeah, he pulled it.
Why?
Because I told him to.
Why?
Ellie, we don't talk about that.
I got bit, everybody!
Hey.
I got bit!
Hey! Hey!
I'm immune!
Whoa!
What is wrong with you?
Guys, somebody filmed this and thought that this was a good TV show. Let that sink in. Neil Druckmann filmed this and thought that this was a good TV show.
I don't need your fucking help. I'm not your fucking kid, Joel. I'm your partner. We stick together.
TV show of the year, guys. TV show.
Now, this is actually the first dub I can give him in this entire thing. And this may play into what she has a disability that makes her face do that. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that it makes it harder for me to. You remember in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there's a whole race of people that turned into gel. She kind of looks like that. Um, I don't think it helps her acting ability. But if he's saying like, yes, this one show of the year, and there's I wish he would provide like, this is what I would have picked to win. Beside that, because I also wouldn't have picked this for game of the year. So if he like the broken clock can be right twice a day. If he's saying that like this kind of shield stuff is stuff that whatever, but any sort of like I'm gonna say something that this you can see this as cope if you want to, but like an establishment needs established things in order to continue, but it's hard for things like Expedition 33 being so good and transcending things is what you need to break the establishment, right? You need a show that can break the establishment. We haven't had one yet because the Last of Us 2 was an okay game. For people saying like, "Oh, Game of the Award," I know there's many games that were better, but you remember how they said like to next year's the first year where people watching who vote on the Oscars have to watch every movie. The fact that none of us knew that beforehand, you probably did. I'm not in that zeitgeist. I apologize, right? But I thought they had to watch every movie. They didn't have to, so that means they probably didn't have to watch the show to decide if they right. But you have to vote with your dollar. If people keep attending and watching these award shows, they're going to keep letting stuff like that. I'm sorry, this is a crazy place to stop it because like I know she's trying her best. I apologize, but like yeah, he might have a dub here, but a broken clock can be right twice. Let's go ahead and watch more.
Show of the year.
So we're all having a baby. Holy shit. I'm gonna be a dad.
The slop that you just were endured to watch right there won for best adaptation. Guys, at the end, I'm going to share some of the things that I actually thought were good from the Game Awards, some of the trailers I thought were good. Check out this trailer of Control 2. So is anybody else kind of tired of these you're in a magical world killing magical creatures game that every like woke leftist homo gay studio is making now? Like I just don't care, dude. I mean, I guess the art direction is fine. Like call me old school, but I kind of want to go back to 2013. I want to go back to Last of Us 1. I want to go back to Gears 1. Like just tell a grounded story, dude. Tell a grounded story.
Gears. Okay, Gears is like, okay, you know what? First, I need him to justify like what about that story makes it gay. Like it has magic. Maybe it's because he got a man bun of some sort, right? But how did he get that? So Last of Us maybe grounded, right? Gears, come on, man. We were chainsawing through aliens and slamming into walls. But come on, dog. Like this is what I mean, right? Just say like I like big buff men doing big buff things, or I like strong men with beards saving everybody around them because I want to live through that character. I can't lift. I'm gonna give you a hot take, right? for this photo, we're all adults here, I'm assuming, right? I can't watch any sort of adult movies that have white men in them because I'm not a white man, right? I have to be able to put myself in the shoes of the dude doing the thing, right? So I have it is what it is. I don't have any problem admitting that. But if somebody said that, somebody said like, "Hey, I've spent my entire life playing video games as a white man, and I didn't even think about the fact that since that's who I am and it's the default that I see in my head, that I can't handle having anything else as the main character of a story because I can't see myself as that person. I would respect that way more than that if anything has something different in it, then you're woke, right? Now, I'm not even going to make this entire video without making a part two because I'm already 25 minutes in and I'm only like 5 minutes into this video. That's just how much nonsense this man has. And more proud of him because I know he's making bread off of it. So he's doing his job.
With interesting gameplay where I care about the characters, grounded, realistic characters with some fantastical stuff, but it's like nothing that's going to happen here in fantastical magic land I'm going to care about. I mean, I guess it's cool that they got rid of the female protagonist because I'm tired of female protagonists in
You
games,
see what I'm
but
saying?
I just don't. This isn't doing it for me. Nothing about this looks really interesting. And plus, I know Remedy Entertainment is ultra woke now, and so this is going to be an avoid for me. Todd Howard showed up at the Game Awards for some reason, which is baffling because he had no games up for any nominations. I don't know. Is he just like hawking Fallout 76 Burning Springs on us now, which is just, bro, I dropped into Fallout 76 the other day with a friend. It is just slop.
Not only that,
The most unbelievable
season 2 of the show was coming out around this time, right? He dropped in. It's called marketing. Like, are you that? Are you an idiot?
slop gameplay you've ever seen in a game. Here is the Star Wars Girl Boss trailer I was talking about. Let's watch it. I have no interest in said new Star Wars Girl Boss reinvention of a Girl Boss character. I have no interest in this. If they did a faithful, like, I don't even trust them to remake KOTOR.
You
If they
made your
did
own
a
character in KOTOR.
faithful, true remake where they changed nothing of KOTOR, I would play that. But this girl boss slop, this for modern audiences game that they're clearly making, I'm not going to touch it, dude. I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. It just looks like it's going to be really bad. So let's jump on to the next game here, and everybody's talking about how much this looks like Mass Effect. It's called Exodus, and it is done by Wizards of the Coast. And in case you don't remember what Wizards of the Coast has been up to, they created this Dungeons and Dragons image recently where they were celebrating pride in the world of Dungeons and Dragons.
Let them have that, right? Like, I get if your overall mythos is like, I like this thing, and then there's a small subsection of people who I've never understood this about. And I can see to a point, right? Because the orc thing was hilarious. I don't know if y'all remember when they said when a bunch of leftists, and I won't say a bunch, right? Let me reel it in. When some leftists said that they shouldn't have orcs because the description of orcs sounds like black people, and every reasonable person was like, "What do you mean?" Like, "Oh, they said they're stupid and they don't know how to work and they don't know how to hold a job." What? And you said, well, hold on. You heard all that, and you heard black people, and then they didn't have an answer for that. I know it was only a couple people, but it was enough to make you go like, you know, sometimes you become so woke, you end up back on the other side. Like you go like, oh, I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left. You end up back over here. That was funny, right? But man, let some gay people have a what. You didn't have to enjoy that part, right? You could say like, "Oh, I love Dungeons and Dragons," which I guarantee you don't, right? Or I play any of the Wizards of the Coast things. Like I guarantee that you don't. But if you did, oh, they're doing some gay shit over there. Just go about your day. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never understood the concept that if a gay person is getting married on the other side of town, it hurts your heart so much that it exists. You've got to, if my house is blue and I don't like red houses, why in the world would I stump to get red houses outlawed? I could just not look at those red houses, right? But he's saying that like because it's making a thing. Now I can get from what he's saying, like if they're letting this start, it's a slippery slope before you get orcs, like get where woke people saying that orcs are black people, but you check that at every turn. This is what I say. Remember my video about what I made about loser maxing, where I said like you've got to have the initiative and the wherewithal and the will to stop to handle things at every instance and every problem. This is that same thing. They don't like that. Some people want more access. They say like I want all access. You getting a little bit of your own access hurts my feelings. Why? Why? You buy with your dollar. You don't buy that. They buy that and they enjoy it, right? And you buy the stuff that you like that they make. If you don't like that they even make that stuff, that says a lot about you.
And so I can only imagine how bad this game Exodus is going to be. Let's watch the trailer, a little bit of it. So, guys, as you were looking at this trailer, were you thinking, like I was, wow, this looks generic? Wow, this looks like slop. Wow, this just looks like they're copying Mass Effect and they're not doing it very well. It looks soulless. It looks generic. It doesn't look interesting.
I
And
thought it
I'm going
looked
to
good.
explain to y'all why this is happening
Proof
right
point.
now. So, video games are about to get way worse than they've gotten. And I think the entire video game industry, well, I should say, the Eastern video game industry is doing well in Japan and China, but the Western video game industry is literally on the verge of collapse right now. And the reason why, guys, here is the whole reason video games are so bad the past 10 years. It is because you've got gamer bros like
That looks like
me
good Mass
who
Effect to
grew
me.
up with video games, who know what we like. We want based men. We want hot chicks in games. We want cool stuff. And then you've got the homos, the degenerates, and the leftist woke Redditors and losers who are making games. And we are at war with each other. And you can't have one group of people making games that the audience hates. And we've seen this, it's come to a head the past 2 or 3 years, with Assassin's Creed Shadows and all of these woke abortion games coming out. And I truly think, this game Exodus is sort of a prime example of where we're headed. It's soulless garbage slop. And that is where we're headed because we're asking leftist Reddit woke losers to make video games for an audience that they hate. And it's
All right, I'm not gonna go through this entire thing because you've got the point. It's just gonna be more of the same nonsense. But I want him to do a little thought experiment, right? You're telling me 10 years ago. First off, if this is just more Mass Effect, he didn't say he didn't like Mass Effect. He said it looks like generic Mass Effect. You could have told me this is the new Mass Effect. I would have believed you, right? Now, I could get how you could say like I don't want like new Star Wars sucks compared to old Star Wars, but to me, I like the prequels the best because they were around when I was young. There's people who are like, oh, prequels, so whatever. No, you can't tell me shit about the prequels. Hey, I'm all in on them, right? I think they're better than the original stuff. That's just because it could be when I was around, when I was new. It's because I had more uh, what have you. I can't tell you the exact reason. I can tell you I enjoyed watching them more, right? But what he's saying is that like, so you're telling me you think in the last 10 years, instead of right-leaning people who are making games, like there's a bunch of Republicans in a room or a bunch of conservatives in a room who made games, and now you've got a bunch of left-leaning people who've taken over that and they've pushed those people out. They're still making games. You just don't like the games those people make, right? And this is I'm going to go back to my tale. I'm going to end this with my Tales of Kinzera rant. And I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go into what I think what Tomb Raider, then into that, right? The Anita Sarkeesians and people of the world who said like everything's racist, everything's sexist, there shouldn't be sexist. You shouldn't have sex sells in video games. What would ensure they need to buy games that look like the games that they want, right? There's somebody out there who wants Overwatch with no titties. There's somebody out there who wants Marvel Rivals with no scantily clad people in it. There's somebody who wants Soul Calibur with no Ivy and no Voldo. That crowd exists. They have to be willing, and I'm gonna liken this back to race because I do everything I do comes back to race or whatever, right? The white man's ice is not always colder. There are people who move out of our area, move to white people areas because it's already established. They don't want to. I've had this conversation with black people before, right? They said like, I don't want to risk my children's future by being one of the people who build a better future for other children. I'll come back to the hood once somebody has already done the work. And that's the problem that you get with people like this. They're like, hey, I don't want, and I'm gonna do for both. I'm actually gonna tell like for leftists who are like, I don't want sexualization in my video games. Cool. You start a company where they don't sexualize women in the way that you don't think so, and then you find enough people to fund that, and you make that game. If it sucks, that's your problem, and then people will buy their dollar, right? Like the problem I have, with like I feel like the new Star Wars movies were somebody's original IP that they couldn't get off the ground that they had to use like the best of the ones was Rogue Galaxy, and I feel like Rogue Galaxy was great because they didn't have to incorporate any of the lore or previous ideals into their movie. They can make a single standalone movie. So it's somebody's vision. who got to make their vision in this one singular movie, and they got to go full torque into it, and it turned out great. Anything that had to attach to to other lore, it was asked because they want to build their vision in the world. Like they made a movie, and they said we can't fund this, and they said, what if we make a Star Wars movie? And I said, okay, shove it into this world, right? So that's my critique on that. It's not that it's leftist nonsense. It's that somebody who had a vision, who may be left leaning, had to shove their dream into that because it's expensive to make movies, and they don't like IP and new original IPs because they're risky, right? If you want a game where just a big dude with a big bulge chainsawing people down, there's somebody who's going to make that game. You have to be willing to play enough games to find that, and then you shield for that game. It's the fact that he wants, hey, I don't want any progress. I don't want any deviation from the norm, even though to make that series, Gears was like the first of its kind. You know, Duke Nukem was the first of its kind. Final Fantasy broke barriers. The game series you love had to have a first one. Somebody said, I think I can make a good thing. And they did it, and it caught on. For every 99 games that fails, one game makes it, one IP, one movie makes it. And it's because somebody found in that thing something that they enjoy. It's cowardice to assume that, oh well, we got a bunch of leftists doing, well, don't buy those games. Like, I get it, you're getting your bread off of talking about that, right? But you got to understand, if you like a certain group, a certain echelon of game or a certain type of game, that game still exists. It may be a company that only has a $5 million budget, and you've got to do a little bit of say, like, hey man, like this game is great. It reminds me of the old times. You should play it. And then it catches on, and then they get a little bread, and they're able to get 30 million for the next budget, and they make more stuff that you like. Things that don't sell well won't get made again. If they take a series like that's great, like Dragon Age, Velgar was ass. If it sold well enough, they'll make another one. That sucks for me. But if they didn't make enough to on that game, they'll make it closer to what people liked. And that's something you've got to be willing to interact with and ebb and flow. Everything can't be catered to you. You're not the main character, right? So, Andy Pants, I get it. Thank you for all this content. I'm going to be reacting to a lot of your stuff. But just remember, man, not everything is made for you, but you can make things for you, which I do know you made your own video game. And I'm pretty sure, allegedly, that's why you don't have access to your kid anymore. So take that what you will. Have a great day.